I've been on semen retention for 91 days now, and this is not my first streak. But it's very easy to forget how beautiful, how pleasurable this practice is. Once you've been on it long enough, you start to get used to it. Or perhaps once you lose your streak, you start forgetting that this is even possible. The only way to realize this again is to come back to this point. I believe 90 days to be a very magical number, a very magical point in time, because, and I can only speak in personal experience here, this is the best I could possibly feel. This is incredible. This is magical, is a way that it's described. It's called internal alchemy, and they describe it with lots of esoteric and magical language for a reason. It is justified to speak about this practice like that. If you are living as a man and you haven't attempted this, you haven't gotten to the point that you've been retaining for 90 days, and you haven't seen what you're capable of as to how good life can feel, then you should be extremely excited. You should be extremely excited as to just how good life can get. This is incredible. You will go from thinking you're sacrificing something. You're sacrificing the gratification of sex or release. You're giving it up. How could life be so much better if you're being forced to sacrifice such pleasure that you believe there to be from release? But it's not until you realize that retention itself allows life to feel like you're having sex with life itself. That is what it feels like. That's what it becomes. You aren't decreasing the amount of pleasure you get. You're just moving it from these peaks, these spikes of pleasure, which you then venture into the trough, into the decline, and be miserable until you then release again. Instead, this has brought the baseline up so much that something just like walking around in the cold, walking around nature, feels like a constant orgasm in a way. Just existing feels like a constant pull, a constant emanation of pleasure. And people who do not do this practice will think that I'm speaking utter bullshit. The friends that I've gotten onto semen retention, who I have been teaching, who I've been coaching to their first 30 days, for instance, will still not entirely know what I mean. They're beginning to, but it's not until you reach this 3-month mark. And I'm now verifying that, because last year I have looked at my journal entries and I was documenting the exact same feelings. It's the same feelings that extend into your social interactions, into your self-expression, into your body language, into how comfortable you are with eye contact and with leading a room. I think that the same old semen retention benefits that are spoken about are quite boring because of how much better it is than what people say. It's not only that you can look people in the eyes, it's not only that women look at you, it's that you feel in touch with that which it means to be a man. You feel absolutely 0% doubt in yourself. You sit there and you are so comfortable expressing your opinion, expressing what you think, and asserting yourself over the room, which is met, of course, with complete submission from the world and from those around you, because no one moves like that. No one has that level of assertion, that level of direction, that level of faith in themselves than a man who's retaining, and than a man who has realized that his power, his energy comes from within himself. When you have that level of trust in yourself, how could you possibly have any doubt? Because you go, I feel so amazing, and it's all to do with me. It's all my fault that I feel this amazing, and so I must be correct. And as a result, you can assert yourself onto rooms, into social scenarios, into business opportunities, into content, into your interactions with women. And this is how you're supposed to live. You're not supposed to be this trembling little boy who gets his pleasure from an external source, who's constantly on the lookout for something external to himself. That is a little boy. That's a child who can't control themselves. Instead, you gain this sovereignty over yourself and your decisions, in how you feel. And this is the most recommended thing I can possibly convey, that you should do this practice for this purpose, for this feeling, for this level of authenticity that you can tap into, to feel truly like you are, and this is really important, to feel exactly like it felt when you were a child and you were around your parents. If you were lucky enough to have a normal childhood, you can probably tap back into the feeling that when you would when you would interact with your parents, when you'd be around them in the house as a child, you wouldn't be second guessing, you wouldn't be thinking about what you should or shouldn't say, you would just act. That's family love, that's authenticity. And what happens is that's trained out of us. We're trained to worry about the opinions of others, to worry about if we're saying the right thing or the wrong thing, if we're offending anybody, if we are appearing cool. What I've noticed on semen retention, and this is something that predominantly I learned last year on my first 90-day streak, was that you can tap back into that feeling in any situation, in any social scenario, when you believe in your own power coming from within you. And I believe that semen retention brings your frequency up. Authenticity is a very high frequency. It's very high on the Hawkins scale of consciousness. It's up there with love. And so, by retaining, of course, you're not dipping back down into lust, into shame and regret. You're containing a charge that's building up and up, that's raising your frequency, that's raising your vibration, up to the point of authenticity, up to the point where you can act exactly like you want to, exactly like yourself, with absolutely zero regard for what other people are thinking of you. And this is the source of the magnetism. Of course, I believe that there's your electromagnetic field that's bringing people in because of how high charge you are. That's one way. But the other way is that people respond so well to authenticity. They respond so well to someone who isn't performing for them. Because people can see through that. They can feel this layer of distrust towards someone who's trying to gain something from you, who's trying to gain something from your interactions with women, who's trying to sleep with them, who's trying to derive their pleasure from something external to themselves. Instead, when you raise your vibration, when you reach this level of authenticity, this self-trust, this self-created level of energy, you emanate authenticity, you emanate trust outwards. People just feel drawn to you because they feel they can relax. They feel like you aren't trying to gain something from them. You're not trying to steal their energy because you already have it. You already have so much of your own. So this experiment with 90 days again, because compared to my streak last year, which eventually reached 300 days, I've now noticed what it feels like to be back at zero. And I've again been shown what 90 days feels like. And I cannot believe it. It's quite frankly indescribable. It is so pleasurable. It is the only way that you really should exist. I feel like it's as simple as that. To go back to being someone who is drained by their own hand, that is just idiocracy, is just utterly stupid. And there's no other way to put it. You'd have to hate yourself to experience this and to then rob yourself of it. It's like finally getting rich and then going and spending all your money at the casino, back down to being poor again and having to build yourself up again. It's ridiculous. So hopefully, as you begin to do this practice, you too reach the realization that why would you want to live any other way? Why would you want to not be in touch with such an authentic version of yourself, with such a childlike state, with such a pleasurable way of being that just feels like you're making love to life itself, that feels like creativity's pouring out of every pore in your body of your essence. Your essence is just bleeding out. Not because you're releasing it, but because it's overflowing. There's so much of it that it just piles up and pours out of you. And that's why creation on SR is so inevitable. It's so difficult not to create things because you just have so much creativity and energy in general that's just built up within your own vessel. You're not squeezing hard to try and wring out a little bit of creativity out of a depleted vessel. it's just spilling out of you. It's like you're filling up a cup and you're filling it up, filling it up, filling it up, and then it just spills over. That is you on SR. So I'm excited to document this journey this time. Obviously, I wasn't making videos last year, and so there wasn't really any documentation as to that streak. This time there will be. The ups and the downs. I'm not immune to flat lines or, urges, of course. But when you've realized how good life is, how high the highs are, it becomes very easy to know the path, to know what to do. And if you derive some level of motivation from my words, then follow along as I document this streak and speak about other topics I'm interested in. I appreciate all the support so far, though. It's been really awesome. Stay tuned, though. I have more videos on the way. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.